Hi, I'm Deborah Bassett and I've been doing digital since 2016. We started with the removable and ortho programs before we sort of leaped into dentures. But my main job now is to do R&D with our clinicians to make our analogue cases into digital cases. So let's get started with our full case. So firstly, I'm going to show you how to do an order form, and in our dental manager icon, we will go up to, there's a little piece of paper on our left of our screen, and we're going to start a new case. And with this new case, you can add your operator, your external labs, your customer number, and the contact person. I usually put the patient's name because I find it easier to find. So I'm just going to put this case, creation date, the shipping date. You can change any of these dates. It's fairly self-explanatory. And so when it comes to doing our setup of our arch, so we're going to do a full today. So we're going to be clicking using our shift button, and we're going to be clicking on our on our 1/7 to our 2/7 to show a full arch. I'm going to do that for the lower as well. And over here, I need to move that down. We're going to click onto our gingival, and we're going to use this the full arch of the gingival. And on here, on our little plus, we've got what materials we want to use. And this will come with a lot of materials. With our new update, you can actually highlight each material, which is great. So we're going to use model material today because we're just going to be printing a try-on. If I was going to be milling this, I'd be changing this to my CAD materials. And I'm also going to put my artificial teeth on for a denture. And I'm going to change this to model material as well. And because I'm milling this, I'm going to be bridging it. If you're not going to be milling it, you will not bridge this. If you are going to be doing a try-in and then processing it in the analog in a flasking way, you don't need to bridge it, and it will be quicker to design as well, because you are not arching the teeth, so you won't be morphing any teeth. You'll be using stock standard teeth. So I'm just going to push OK. If it was connected to the scanner, I'd be pushing down here, down to the bottom, the scan button, and I'd be probably scanning it usually from impressions or models. So I would change up here in my scanning sessions. But we're going to import a scan today because I'm not connected to a scanner. And also it's quite important to learn how to import a scan, because especially if you're going to be working from home, you can put scans on a USB and import them. So by right-clicking onto our order form here, it gives us lots of great things in our menu here. But we're going to push import scan. And on my desktop, I've already got a full patient. And up here, it's got upper perforation scan, upper jaw. So this is the first scan you need to put in. Don't put a lower, don't put the wax room. It's got to be in order, otherwise your job will be upside down. So we're going to do upper perforation, we're going to go open, and we're going to do a lower. And then we're going to hit the lower as well. And as you see, it says the wax rim. We'll click onto the wax rim. And because it's been scanned in occlusion, it will come in how you have scanned it. And so usually we just right click here and we'll push design. If you need to change your order form, you can modify your order form. You can rescan if you're scanning. You've got a 3D preview, and we'll go over a few of these in a minute, at the very end actually, because they're a little bit more advanced. So today I'm going to just redesign a case I did yesterday, just because we are time sensitive today. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to redesign. We've also got an auto redesign. So this auto redesign will actually set through a design from start to finish quite quickly, especially if you're changing a design from printing to milling. If you're changing your order form, you'll hit auto redesign. So it saves you sitting through each design. but we're going to redesign today. I'm actually using the new beta version, so there'll be a couple of little things on here that you won't see until June, until they release it. So as you see, our scans come in with our wax bite rim, and on our right here we've got some little icons here. We can take our upper model off, our bite block, and your lower. And with the occlusal plane too, I've just used 3 points. But you can use, if you've got Fox planes and UTS CADs, you can use your measurements in here. And I usually take the lower off, and you can move your occlusal plane to where you want. It's important to get that correct to begin with as well, and especially to get your midline marked exactly where you want it from your bite block. And I usually, once I've got it connected to my bite block, I take my bite block away, and then I usually use a standard between my 2 retromolar pads, so you can move this at any stage. So I usually set up like that, and then I put my bite block on, check my midline, and on the right here we have a cross-section tool. I use this 2D cross-section tool all the time, and I usually just do a bit of I drag it down so I can measure my vertical dimension, my OVD, and I can see that's 39.5. And at any stage I can take a wee photo with my screenshot, and I can send this to the dentist as well. And I also can take these measurements here, so I can see where my pillar is to where my front of my bite blocks are, so I can have a bit of an idea of where I want to set up in my measurements already. And before I go any further here, up the top here you've got a little icon with a wee scissors. This is your preparation, and it's best to go back and prepare your models now. Then further down the line you think, oh, there's a bump there, and you have to go all the way back to the start. And down the very bottom there's a wee colour little texture button, and we're going to hit that, and then you'll be able to see the texture of your model a little bit better. You've got a Sculpt tool to your left, which you can add and remove from your model, and you've got a Band-Aid. The Band-Aid is actually quite a good tool, because it doesn't overtake a lot of the model off. It will just fill in that hole. So see, if I want to get rid of that wee hole, I can just show my target area and push play, and it will clean it up for me. So usually I sort of look around my model and have a bit of a clean up. And with my upper, I will do the same. You can use a smoothing tool. You can just make sure your settings are not too aggressive, so you're not taking too much away. And you can just gently do it. And this is, if you're usually for immediate, we'll do a post-dam, but if you're wanting to put a post-dam in, this is where you'll do it. So you can use your takeaway tool, and you can put a post-dam in. We tend to only put them in for immediates, and maybe not so much if it's a trios scan, because they're so accurate, it's unnecessary. And once I've prepared my model, I then carry on and push next. And now we have our characteristic points. You do this in order, so you do your tuberosity first, and your incisal papilla, your second tuberosity. You can move these dots at any stage too if you've got them in the wrong spot, but you do need to put them in the right order, because this will give you your pounds line and for your setup tools. Be careful with the retromolar pads, the lingual area. Sometimes if you go a bit further, too far down, the program won't like it, but usually just in the middle. It's just really a guideline for when you're setting up. So we've done an upper jaw boundary, and I use dots, not fast line, but you just go along where your outline is. We use a muscle trim impressions, so I like to get our dots right up to the very top. And to see where you are going, you've got this great tool called the cross section, the local cross section. You can delete your spine at any time and fast edit if you need to change it, but your cross section, you can drag your dot and you can see how close you are getting to where the model, to the boxing of the model is. So this is good because it's quite hard to see sometimes 3D, so this is a great wee tool. Especially even if you are not using muscle trim impressions, so you can see your depth of your sulcus. And for special trays as well, it's quite a handy wee tool. And we do need to look, I'm going to take that off. And you're going to try to maybe get smooth lines. Make sure that there's no gaps in any of your lines. And then we do the lower jaw as well. So I've already done my lower jaw. And the survey I'm blocking out is your path insertion for your dentures. This is mainly used for chromes, or if you're doing removal for your survey blocking out for your undercuts, for your clasping, and for your retention. But with the dentures, you actually want to keep all your undercuts. So I always put none because I don't want any block out at all. But if you do want block out, you can, and you can change this path insertion at any stage. And if you're wanting to bring it back, you can hit set from view, and we'll give you another path insertion. But do be careful when this line is red, not always, but if it is red, sometimes it can cause problems later on. I do like to keep it in the blue, and we just reset it for where we put it. If you are scanning models, it is always good to put the model into the scanner and the direction of the path insertion you want. It makes life a little bit easier once it's on the screen, especially for partials. And once we've got our path insertion sorted, we can then use our Sculpt tool to add any wax relief if we want. And I'm going to do it on the lower. And it's the same with the lower. I'm not going to bother doing that because I'm not having any block out. But on your wax knife setting, so if you are wanting to add some relief on some of your ridges, you can just add a little bit of wax. Wax if you want. You can take away some, smooth. Oh, let's take away. Oh, still take away. And smooth it. So if you've got a rugae that you want a little bit of relief, you may. And now we're going into the setup of the denture. This is where the fun bit happens. And usually the further you get along down the design, it takes a little bit slower to calculate each movement. Sometimes if I've got 2 or 3 jobs, I do them all at the same time. So while one's calculating, I can do a special tray, or I can do a chrome in the background as well. So with our Smile Composure, we have tooth libraries down here, and we can choose whatever library we're using. I'm actually using the SPEs for this one, but this is because this is my beta version. I don't have many teeth libraries on here, but you've got your Candula, I've got Finares, but you can have your Vita. Some companies you might have to buy your libraries from. And you can use single posterior libraries, combinations, or 4 arch libraries. And you can choose here if you're wanting say a size 4 for your posteriors up and your uppers, or if you want a size 5 on the lowers, you can change your anterior molds, especially if you've got an existing denture. If you want to choose, you can then choose what mold the old denture was, and same with the lower. And it will set up sometimes absolutely perfectly for you, and then sometimes not. So it's depending on the tooth mold. So on our left, we've got an occlusal plane. We're on our design tools here. Sorry, I should have highlighted my mouse, but I'm hoping you can follow my mouse. Occlusal plane adjustment. So this will move the teeth in a full occlusal plane. So it will move your lower as well with it. You can bring this forward. You can bring it back. You can tip it. You can have a look, put your wax rim in so you can see where your midline is sitting and the length. This is fantastic for if you've taken a secondary impression in existing dentures and scanned it in, because then you can actually ghost, you know exactly where the length of the teeth they are liking, and to copy the old design. So we can do that. And also at this stage too, I usually use my cross-section tool and take that down, and then I do a measurement. Actually, that one's a bit, I mean, the deepest part. So 39. So I can sort of see where the tip of my teeth are. Is at 22. It's the same with my lower. And I can take snapshots and send this to the clinician as well, so they can see. And I also can see the measurement from my papilla on where my anteriors are sitting. So they're at 7. So if I wanted to bring them forward, I could. So that's what that wee icon is for. This next icon is an arch setup. So usually when I first get my case, I usually make sure my lowers are over my ridge first. And this is where this full arch, as you can swing your full arch around. You can bring individual in as well, but it will bring in most of your arch. And it will move your anterior teeth as well. So I'm just going to, this is the best button on your left here. It's a regret button, undo button. So anything you do, you can undo. Okay. A few more wee tricks on finding out if your lower is over your ridge. You can use this cross-section tool again, and you can slice it through your tooth. And we can have 2 ways of doing it. We can do our measurements of half our measurements. So we know it's about there, and we can see it can be moved over a bit further. You can use that tool, and you can also just ghost your tooth over your arch. And if you can see where the green lines are, you can see where your base of your tooth is compared to your arch. It also puts your pound lines in, so you know where to keep your teeth within that line, so you're not cramping the tongue. With this wee icon here, this is moving your symmetrical design on here, so you can show your overlaps. I'll put that in there. So when we put our upper on, we can show that it's got an overjet of 1 and an overbite of 1. So if clinicians ask you for a specific overbite or overjet, you can play with this and you can get that correct. And this also, I'm going to take my upper, this will move segments of your posterior teeth, and also your anteriors. You'll bring them together. And when you are moving those, you are actually moving, I'm going to put my upper arch up, you're also moving the upper teeth as well. So it moves it into a block. If you're doing class 2s or 3s where you're needing to move these teeth individually yourself, and any individual setups, is this little tool here. So say you can, I'm just going to push that back just for example. In our individual setups, we can click onto a teeth, we can go bring to a mesial contact. It's the same with the next one. And we can also go back. If you're actually moving them individually and then you're wanting to bring contact to the antagonist, you can. I've actually removed the 7s off this job, but if you can remove 7s or you can remove the 5s. It would be nice if 3Shape would let us remove the 4s as well. But you can see you can remove the second premolar on the side, or you can remove all second premolars. So this also helps if you're doing a class 2 or class 3. And I'm just going to put those back. And because we're milling this job, but we have set it up as a monoblock for printing today, we will be, you can morph. This tool comes up for morphing. If you are going to be processing this straight analog, then you won't be wanting to morph your teeth, because you're not going to be able to get your stock standard teeth in the flask, and it will be a nightmare to finish. Trust me, I've tried it. So another weak tool for the cross section as well is you can bring this up, and you can see where your cusp relationships are, especially if you're doing a full upper against the existing lower. This is where you can adjust some of these to see where you get your best occlusion. Certainly not there. So that's the cross-section tool's fantastic. So the morphing tool is if you're wanting to morph, let's go a bit closer. If you're wanting to morph, I'll just make that a bit bigger. If you're wanting to morph some of your teeth, if you're wanting to bring your cusp, canine cusp or anything like that in, you can also, instead of using the morphing tool too, we can also individually shape and move our own teeth. We can make them wider. We can bring the necks out. Actually, I'm going to take. We can take the necks out, bring the tips in. We can tilt them. You can put a bit of characterization into them. And if you're wanting, there's a symmetrical design button here. I often don't use it because sometimes it can be a little bit aggressive sometimes, but especially it is handy for when you're doing your anterior movements if you're wanting to get them nice and symmetrical. Bring that back and bring that back. Oops. See, the symmetrical design, that's what I mean by aggressive. It moves too many teeth when you don't want them to. Right, so I'm just going to bring that back in. And I'm just going to bring my line. So the icons on your right here Oh, actually, I will show the morphing tool, sorry, one more time. And I'm going to, the morphing tool here too, there's a few hotkeys that you can use for these morphing, but you can move your occlusal areas too. And this is very handy if you've got a full upper or full lower to existing natural teeth. And you can use your cross section to make sure you're morphing in the right spot. And if you're putting it on an articulator and you're wanting to morph some of the teeth into or out of the occlusion. Actually, I'm just going to, so I'll put my teeth back on. So the icons here on your right are these original scans, which we can get rid of. Of course, your upper and your lower teeth, so you can ghost your teeth at any stage if you're setting up. Same with your bite block. So you can make sure where your midline is. I'm going to take that away. Same with your upper and lower teeth, the usual. This is your monsoon template. This is quite handy for setting up as well. So you can see where your teeth are lying on your monsoon template. But this is not the occlusal plane that you have put in on your wax bite to begin with. So we're going to take that away. This is your wax rim bite block. So this is what you've set up to begin with. So you can see where it is sitting on your wax rim. So this is great to know the difference, especially if you're setting up teeth on, if the clinicians have marked anything onto the bite block as well, you can use that as a reference. Oh, I'm going to take that off. And I'm going to take that on. And this is your occlusal map. So you can see where it is hitting. I'm going to, so you can see where all your occlusion is hitting within your lower. And this is your collision. This will show your collisions. If it's got ticks, that means there's no collision. If it's got a exclamation mark, yes, information mark means there is a bit of collision. This can be done in this collision can be sorted out in the articulation later, but if, like I said, if you're not milling it and you're processing it by analog, you might want to get rid of some of your collisions at this stage to make your life a little bit easier later on down the track. And we'll go through the articulation icon through when we do our anatomy. At this stage too, you can use the articulator to open your bite if you're wanting to open or close your bite. If you do that, it will always move your lower model, not your upper model. So do remember to bring your measurements back in. This is your maxillary base. So this, we've already done our outline, but we can adjust our outline at any stage before we do our final printing. So if there's any adjustments, you can make the adjustments now. And this will determine your base thickness. So you can make your thickness a little bit thicker or thinner. If you've got a relief of 0.15, that's just standard on the 3 shape. But the new beta version that's coming out soon will give you gingiva settings, and this is a huge time savings. So they've got a few. You can still do your own, but you've got a delicate one, you've got a natural, and you've got intense settings. And so I'm just going to push natural for this one, and we'll do intense on the lower so you can see the difference. And then we push next. because you can spend a lot of time making a gingival look beautiful, and this by having a standard setup, it does save a lot of time, and you can just add a few little tweaks and of what you're wanting. This does take a little bit longer to calculate. And same with the lower. And I've chosen intense for the lower, just so you can see the difference. If you were doing mediate and you're wanting it flangelless by your upper anteriors, like somebody asked us about that last week, and you can just bring your maxillary baselines up to your teeth, but just make sure you leave enough room for the milling, and then just remove it when you go to finish it, just so the teeth have got enough gingival to hold it into the socket. And this is nearly done. So now, because we're milling this, but we are printing just the monoblock today, we've got the connectors, and so I set it to 70-70-70. You can choose, I'm just going to take that base off so you can see the connectors. So you can change this, and so the facial scales, you can, oh, so what's that? Should come up. Facial scales shows the connections along here and the lingual. It usually just comes up for some reason. It's not doing that for me to show you. But usually I keep it just to these, just 70-70-70. And this will connect the arch. And as you can see, it's connected. Okay, I'm going to put my gums back on. So now we're into Sculpt anatomy. So we're going to put it on our articulator. So you can morph any of your teeth at the stage. If you're thinking what you didn't do in smile composure, you can redo now. But we're going to put on our articulator because this is where we're wanting to mill it into our bite. And like I said, especially if if you're doing a full upper against existing lower teeth. You can, up here in your visual articulator, you've got settings, so you can change your static occlusion if you want, and you must lock it. You can open your bite, you can open your size or pin, you can open your bite, but we're going to be using this wee one up here. If you're new to the system and you're needing to know any information on any of these buttons or design problems, there is a technical information, I'll show you how to get to that in a minute, that you can always go to, that's 3Shape, that's with the program. I'm just going to put my lower on. You can change whatever articulator you want, if you want to use a particular articulator. But I'm just going to take that off at the moment. Oh, actually, I can probably still keep it on. And we do guided by design, and we record our contacts. If you're wanting the lower to move, whatever's moving at the time, you can change it to an upper or a lower, because you'll see, I'm just going to push play. And as you can see, I'm just going to take that articulator off now. And I'm going to take my lower model off. And you can see where it's hitting. It's not very good occlusion actually at all. But we're going to adapt our design. And this cuts the contacts at 0.10. And then you can do it again. Usually I do this about 3 or 4 times before I mill a job to make sure I've got my occlusion milled in nicely. But you change this upper or lower depending on, especially if you're doing a full up or full lower with the existing teeth. And usually I do it for my lower because then I'm not interrupting any of my design for my upper. I'm just going to jump out of that. And this does the upper only at this stage, and then once it goes through all these programs, then it will go to your lower. So now we're going to do the Sculpt denture base. And because 3Shape are amazing, and I've designed this gingiva for us, it's fantastic. But you've still got a Sculpt tool here, so you can morph, or you can add wax, add attachments. Somebody did say the other day, can you put attachments onto the teeth? And you can. Here's your reattachments here. But we're going to, so you have your measurements on how the radius of it and the depth. But usually I just add some between my the interproximal areas, just so when it's milled, and so I don't do my lower because I'll be doing my lower later. And what I've done here too is, actually I will take all this, that's right, I'll take all that away. I'll put a rouge in, and with this I'm just going to show you how this is done. Take that away. You can ghost your base away, and you can put your rouge in. And when you do this, you've got your natural one underneath. Just going to put that. So you can add your wax down here. I'm just going to do this quickly so I can see we're very time sensitive. But this is fantastic for your immediates. Takes all the guesswork out of it and makes it a lot more natural for the patient. And then I'm going to put that back on. And I'm just going to add a bit more. And you can use the smooth tool. And now we're going to go next. Now we'll go next. This is your coupling depth. So if I usually I just bring this to where my path incision line is. It should be fine. Okay, let's move that in. That should make a big difference today. And then we're going to a pre-manufacturing. This coupling depth mechanism is mainly for your milling, to give you your coupling depth and your coupling angle. If you've got anteriors that are a huge recline and your posteriors, you can split your arch. If you have no luck and get a lot of errors at this stage, you can split your arch into your two posteriors and your anterior region, and it will help it. The milling process will be a lot easier because it's not doing too many angles. So, and now we're going to do our lower. A full upper and lower setup when it comes to arching and milling and doing all this probably will take an average person maybe 40 minutes, maybe to an hour if you're doing it properly. But if you're not arching it and morphing the teeth, and if you're just setting up as monoblock and putting it through analog, it will only take probably half an hour, because you have to remember a lot of these steps aren't in a full monoblock if you're not arching it. This is the 3-shape intense, which I probably wouldn't quite pick for this one, but this is your connectors, which we're just going to flick through because we've already got our connectors. We know what size we want. And Sculpt anatomy, yet again, you can put it on your articulator. And that also too, around this stage, if you are wanting to do a job where you want your, sorry, I'm going to put that one on that one. If you're wanting to do bite blocks, sometimes people like to do a try-in. We like to do a try-in and put bites because we might not quite sure know where they are. So you can use these slice tools. You could, will that work? Might do it for me. Just thinking about it. Oh, it's not so aggressive as that, sorry. But you can slice your posterior portions and then put wax on them. If you're having trouble with a patient that you can't find the bite, that's another way. And then you've got your anteriors. You can look at your anteriors and get them set up correctly for your patient, and then fiddle around with your bite, and then re-scan it in with the new try-in with the bite. So they are quite handy. And these are where attachments, you can put attachments in again and sculpt your anatomy. And we're just going to do the same with the lower. And you can add, you can spend a lot of time playing around with this. You can take away areas. You can go back and change if you didn't like. So I probably wouldn't like this intense for this particular job, but so I can go back to where my gingiva is and use natural. And you just have to make sure there's no big gaps or big holes that you need to fill in and smooth. So you can smooth this. You can add more wax as well if you like. And the coupling mechanism again. See, with this on our left, we've got like a little question mark. This is where your manuals are that 3Shapes put into your system. So you can ask for a user manual or technical documentation. So technical documentation, if you click onto this, will bring up any questions, any answers. It will show you what all of these icons mean, and step by step. It's when you're starting, really do use this. And it will also give you your fast keys, your workflows, your order forms, anything like that, it's absolutely great when you're starting. Always look into that manual before you ring your helpline. There's probably 8 out of 10 times it will give you the answer when you're learning. And then we're just going to flick through. As you all know, with computers and technology, there's always something that might go wrong, but most of the time it goes right. It's just as much as your machinery in your lab. When a printer goes down, or say sometimes your calcul machine goes down, or there are some days that I do want to throw the computer out the window, but 98% of the time I'm pretty happy. My day goes quite smoothly. But usually when something does go wrong, it all goes wrong on the same day. And that also is very important. It's also very important, I think, when you get started, to have a great company, someone like Dental Access, or there's plenty of other companies, but that will help you, that you've got that phone line when you do have a technical problem or a computer problem, setting up your servers. You really need somebody with a bit of knowledge behind you to help you, because your journey will be a lot harder if you're doing it on your own. And to surround yourself as well with people in the digital community. There's a lot of digital Facebook pages there as well that can help. And so I'm just going to show you just quickly on our right click. We've got lower or tweak the 2, 3. You can then you can redesign from that job. You can go back in and make adjustments, or you can copy. You can down here you can do a standard copy. I'd probably recommend doing a standard copy, or do a totally standard copy of what you've done, because there has been times I've adjusted the original and then they come back, oh no, the patient liked the first one. So then if you've not done a copy of it, you really need to you're in trouble, really. So you can do a standard copy, and that will give you a total copy of your job. Copy and reuse CAD design. If your patient, your clinician, has got the bite wrong and they wanted to redo a new bite, so they're sending you the try-in with the wax bite. This is what you would push. You do a copy and reuse CAD design, and you would scan your new job on, and it will bring your original design into the new bite, and then you'll make adjustments that way. Copy and append CAD designed preparation scan. This is when we use, say, like if I was doing Chrome or Peak Frame, I would design it in my RPD program, and then I would copy and append this CAD design to my preparation scan if I was then going to put my gingival on top and my artificial teeth, and then it becomes a bit of a kit set. So that's what you do there. And I never really use that other bottom one. So auto redesign, if you want to go into, if you modify your job and you want to now send it to the mill and change your workflow to a milling, then you'd modify it, and then you'd probably order a redesign, and it will just do the design yourself. Yeah, and of course, close your design, new design. You can have your 3D preview at any stage, which will bring this up. So you can send pictures to your dentist if you like. You can do your measurements still through here, your cross sections, remove your teeth. Design Center is a new thing through beta version, so I won't go over that. It's a full contour one. If you want to delete your job, if you want to send it to a manufacturer to get it milled for you, this is where you do it. And so I've gone through those ones. Oh, so you've advanced, I haven't. So you can import your scan, your job, and export, and you can also export your scan onto your USB, onto a new job. Generate your CAM output, so F7 is your quick key for this. This will then send it to your, you just click on it, and it will send it to your manufacturing directory as a CAD. And this one here, so you can explore your CAD as well. So this is what will show up on a printer. So this is a printer bed. And so this is your job ready to be printed. So this is what it will look like when you download it into your printer. So it's quite important to see where you can actually pull these out from your order form. And so your explore order, this is the most probably important. This explores everything you've done in this order. So you've got your CAD files, which will be STLs or milling ones. You'll have your external models, your original scans. So if you're wanting to put this on a USB and use it for another job, or you can always got your original scans if you wanted to stop, so you never lose them, and you can always get access to them. Tree, your manufacturers and materials. So everything you do within a job, you will have in this folder. And there are plenty of times where you'll need to extract some of those models. And that, I think, is it. And yeah, thank everyone for tuning in today. A big thanks to Dental Access and of course John Batchelor as well. He's given me this opportunity to embrace digital and and taking me on this journey.